So hostilities flared up in Iran overnight as the U.S. struck IRGC boats laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, which isn't great. I mean, eliminating that threat is great, but the fact that Iran is out there laying new mines yesterday does not suggest that we are on the brink of any sort of deal. Now, Iran, for their part, says they shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone and forced an F-35 to flee the area. Those are both claims that I have not seen verified outside of Iranian statements. Now, U.S. officials are stressing that this is not a violation of the ceasefire, while Iran has vowed retaliation. So let's get into what we know. Overnight, the U.S. military says they carried out self-defense strikes in southern Iran. Jennifer Griffin over at Fox News said 2 Iranian boats were caught laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, saying the U.S. military eliminated both IRGC vessels and also struck at a surface-to-air missile site in Bandar Abbas that was targeting U.S. warplanes. Now, quick note on why this is significant. I mean, not really a return to hostilities. For the most part, the ceasefire has been holding since it kicked off something like 6 weeks ago. It's been a while at this point. Last night, though, hearing that the IRGC is laying new mines in the Strait of Hormuz does not inspire a lot of confidence that we're on the verge of some sort of diplomatic breakthrough. So looking at the map here, we've got Iran in the northern portion, or the top part of the screen, to the north of the Persian Gulf, this body of water here. The only entrance and exit from the Persian Gulf, of course, being the Strait of Hormuz. This is the critical waterway. So you can see Bandar Abbas, the surface-to-air missile site hit by the United States right here. Iran has been laying mines throughout this waterway, making it challenging for anybody to move through. And there's a couple ways to look at this. So you can kind of like 3 different phases of closing the strait. All right. So the old school traditional way that we thought Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz was they would just seed this area with naval mines. So nobody would want to go in or out, just not going to mess with it at all. To get through, then, you would need some sort of large-scale military operation with minesweepers protecting from missile and cannon fire or rocket fire from the shores, protecting from the IRGC fast attack boats. It'd be significant to clear that area. Now, Iran instead went the route of firing with drones and missiles to kind of shut down the strait, and honestly, at times, just saying they were going to do it was enough to keep ships from trying to transit. We have, however, seen a number of mines laid already. And when you look at all of the details of any one of these deals trying to wrap up this war, a central point is always the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the most recent ones we had talked about how Iran had agreed to help the United States remove some of the mines from the strait. Whether that's true or not, that's going to be a key focus area. So for Iran yesterday to be adding new mines to this area that they would have to go out and clear, next week, next month, you see how it doesn't really feel like we're on the brink of a deal? And more on those details here in a minute. But the IRGC also put out a statement last night saying that they shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone over the Persian Gulf while also forcing an RQ-4 Global Hawk surveillance drone and F-35 stealth fighter to retreat from Iranian airspace. I've not seen any verification, to be fair, any of that at this point. We don't have strike footage from the United States, although the U.S. hitting a surface-to-air missile site is kind of to be expected. The U.S. hitting fast attack boats, kind of to be expected. The IRGC has shot down around 20 Reapers so far, more than 20 Reapers during this conflict. So that wouldn't be all that unusual, very much in the realm of possibility. And then for aircraft leaving the airspace, take it with a grain of salt. Very hard to tell if surface-to-air fire is what caused that to evacuate. But we do know from a report that came out a couple weeks ago that a F-35 has been hit by Iranian ground fire. So that, too, could very well be in the realm of possibility. Now, Iran vowed retaliation last night. We may have started to see that, maybe. So the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Center issued an alert earlier today saying that there was an explosion off the side of a tanker 60 nautical miles east of Oman. They say the vessel reported an external explosion on the port side of the ship near the waterline. The vessel and crew are safe. However, some fuel had spilled into the water. Look, if something goes boom in the Persian Gulf right now, all eyes are on Iran. So probably there's not a lot of normal things that explode along the side of a ship. Haven't seen any more details here or claims of ownership, but have to imagine that was associated in some way, shape, or form with the IRGC. Now, the war is still going for the most part. I mean, the ceasefire's in effect right now, but we keep hearing that there's a deal right on the horizon. Any day now, you're going to wake up and this thing's going to be wrapped up. But before getting into that and what we know at this point, a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost. Look, I spend a lot of time online in this line of work, and the older I get, the more I realize how much of that time is being tracked, logged, and then sold to whoever wants it. No questions asked. Seriously, that's a problem. isn't it? That's why I partnered with a sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost VPN. CyberGhost encrypts your traffic and reroutes it through secure servers in over 100 countries. So nobody knows what you're doing online, not even CyberGhost themselves, which is great for someone like me. You know, they get in, they see this browsing history, they're going to find out how many times a day I have to ask Google about the time differences, not just across the country, but around the world. It's a little bit embarrassing, but that's my burden to bear. Now, CyberGhost works on all major devices and operating systems, Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and you can protect up to 7 different devices at once, so the whole household can be covered. You can also unlock more than 40 different streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime from different regions just by switching your virtual location. Now, right now, you can go to cyberghostvpn.com/PrestonStewartYT and get 4 months free, which works out to about $2.03 a month. That's 84% off. There's also a 45-day money-back guarantee, so there's literally zero risk. Click the link, check it out, and thank you to CyberGhost VPN for sponsoring today's video. All right, so the ever-elusive U.S.-Iran peace deal is still right around the corner. It has been a mess the last few weeks, to say the least. I think that's putting it nicely. There has been no progress, but a lot of contradictory statements, sometimes the same day. I have started and stopped multiple videos in the last couple weeks getting ready to provide an update, and in the span of like 2 or 3 hours, it goes from that's actually big news if true to it's not true, okay, we're back where we started. All of that was for nothing. It's wild. Like a great example, I'll put it up on the screen here. A few days ago, the New York Times, and these two quotes were 3 minutes apart. The New York Times said a U.S. official says Iran has agreed to dispose of its highly enriched uranium as part of the deal. Less than 3 minutes later, Reuters, a senior Iranian source, tells Reuters that Tehran has not agreed to hand over its highly enriched uranium and that Iran's nuclear issue is not a part of the preliminary agreement with the United States. What do you do with that? Like, you just trust one, not the other? Because nothing has verified either one of those at this point. Those were, like, both of those. You know, if you go to the New York Times one, great. U.S. has the upper hand. We're getting something we want out of this conflict. If you go with the Reuters one, that's a problem. Looks like we're not actually making any progress here at all. And we still don't know. There was the White House, it looks like, went on a bit of a PR blitz this past weekend where they had a number of media people on this kind of off-the-record call or background call maybe, and they all came out with the same messages. And the core message was that we are 95% of the way there. And look, I'm sorry, it's hard to believe that at this point. Like, there was a great quote from a European diplomat. I think it was an anonymous source. It shouldn't be anonymous because it was great. And he said something along the lines of, the U.S. and Iran both agree that a deal needs to be done. They just disagree on all the details. And like, you know, I guess that's 95% of the way there. It's the same as the peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, where you'll hear like Witkoff and Kushner come back and say, we're actually really close. We've just got these couple pesky items of we just need to figure out territorial control and security guarantees. But other than that, everything's resolved. And it's like, those are the biggest things. I wouldn't put a percentage on that. That's kind of where everything sits right now with the U.S.-Iran deal. And there was a blow up this past weekend where we saw a number of people that are traditionally in Trump's camp, kind of very supportive of the war, coming out kind of preemptively saying, we think that a deal is being brokered that's going to be really bad. One saying that it was effectively, it was tantamount to the United States surrendering to the IRGC. So Trump kind of countered that by saying, nobody's even seen the deal. Quote, nobody has seen the deal or knows what it is, so don't listen to the losers who are critical about something they know nothing about. I don't make bad deals. And that is why we're not going to get into the details. And I'm still not going to get into the details of what a deal may or may not look like. Because according to the president, nobody's even seen it. And every single day there's totally different versions that leak out into the media space. And part of the issue we have right now is both the United States and Iran have an incentive to drag this out longer. Iran, for their part, thinks that the United States will lose interest, not a crazy bet, to be fair, and that spiking oil prices will force U.S. concessions. Those are valid, all right? The U.S. side here is valid as well in saying, well, if we can just drag this thing out. The U.S. sees the failing Iranian economy and knows that the longer the blockade is in place, the more stress the IRGC will be under. That is also true. So we're in a weird spot where both the IRGC and the United States might be looking at this saying, if we can just keep it as is for another few months, this would be great. So who blinks first is kind of where we sit right now. If I had to summarize where we've a lot of different leaks, a lot of different inside sources. Here's what I've seen and here's what I've been told. If I could summarize what I've seen at this point, I would say it looks like this preliminary deal involves opening the Strait of Hormuz to traffic. So we'll pull up the map here again, show you this area. The opening of the strait to commercial traffic. The details of that, very vague. I think there's something from the IRGC this week saying they're not charging a toll, they're charging an environmental fee or something like that. So how those ships get through, up in the air. U.S.-Iran nuclear talks would be back on, like not anything done, but it sounds like we would get back to talking about that. And maybe there would be some Iranian sanctions relief. Every one of those have very broad ranges of what it could entail. Like the sanctions relief, for instance, is everything from a bunch of sanctions relief up front to metered out so long as Iran meets benchmarks with the United States. Those are very different. So we're not going to analyze one when it could be any number of things in between. But all of that to say that, I mean, right before I hit record, we had Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, saying, I think we get a deal done in the next couple days. Maybe I'll eat these words. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like we're close at all. We'll keep watching, but, not seeing a lot of progress is probably the best way to put it. And hey, don't forget to click the link in the description and grab the special CyberGhost VPN discount available exclusively to our viewers. It keeps your data safe while you browse and unlocks all blocked content online, all for just $2.03 a month. It's completely risk-free, so check it out today. But that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.